If you flew out there and looked out the window, you wouldn't see this. Our eyes catch only a thin sliver of light, what's known as visible light, and only when it's bright enough. The telescopes can pick up wavelengths we can't, like infrared and ultraviolet. So how does that captured data then become an image like this? This is the pillars of creation. The Webb telescope captures infrared light, which is invisible to us. So this image is made by mapping the shortest captured wavelength to purple and the longest to red, with the rest in between. Hubble's version works differently. Hubble captures visible light, but two of the key elements scientists want to study, sulfur and hydrogen, sit at almost the same wavelength, so they both look like nearly the same red to us. To tell them apart, astronomers map one to red and one to green, so you can actually see each element in the nebula. So astronomical images aren't really photographs. They're more like data visualizations, where each pixel represents a telescope measurement, and the color is a choice, a way to make those measurements mean something, such as revealing the light we can't see or separating light we can't tell apart, to help us better understand the universe.
Now that makes a lot of sense right there. It's just a visualization of data. Shout out to Anna Jane. Like, we literally just went up to space and couldn't get no pictures. Like, come on. How's a telescope or a camera gonna pick up things that we couldn't pick up when we was out there?
The light then flies across the base, across the flight line, and as it flies to me, a triangle manifests around the light. I can't tell you if it's active camouflage. I can't tell you if it appeared around the light, but I can tell you that it was a white light, and then it was a triangle. There were 4 lights in total, 1 light on each corner, and a larger light in the center, 2 to 3 times the size of the corner lights. But what was really odd was the outside. The best way to describe it is like looking at a James Webb telescope picture, where you have the colors and then the black background. So the craft itself was this black metallic flake paint, but on top of the craft was this gold, lava, plasma, some type of fluid going over and around the craft.
Tower. So apparently Texas just bought 4 souped up Israeli surveillance vans for their law enforcement, each one valued at $1.2 million, making the entire fleet of all 4 souped up Israeli surveillance Chevy Tahoes totaling at $4.49 million. Of course, I wanted to know what kind of tech was inside of those, like why would they be such high value? And as it turns out, it looks like they've got something called FelcoNet that's installed on each one. FelcoNet is a cell phone tower emulator, meaning it makes smart devices connect to it thinking that it's a cell tower, therefore collecting all of that information that a cell tower would, using a company called Cognite, which has also signed a $5 million contract with U.S. law enforcement agencies, and that was earlier this year in March of 26. Each one of these vans has inside like this little surveillance area, this high tech where they're utilizing OSINT and SIGINT. We talk about that all the time on here, signals intelligence, open source intelligence, actually giving you guys resources for SIGINT in the past. So it's all signals intelligence, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, so all of that connects to this bank. They can then gather and gain all of that information. And finally, they use something called Nixite, which all of their Israeli analysts bring all of this information together and then hand it over in a nice little packet. Texas isn't the only one. Also, it's New York, Albuquerque, and Florida also have contracts with them. And I know that they're trying to expand to any U.S. state they can get on board. So anyway, I just thought I'd let you guys know. Love you so much. Stay safe. Drink water. I'll talk to you.
Watch out for them Suburbans. Yo, that's wild. Shout out to Megan Micah 44. Just great information right here. Your phone thinking it's hooking up to a cell tower when it's hooking up to a Suburban. I think we all pretty much have the same idea on what this is being used for.
I was walking around in the Egyptian museum and I'm looking at pottery and I saw these ant people, alien looking ant creatures that were very tall on this pottery. Now I'm in Turkey, right? I'm walking around a museum. I'm looking at pottery and I'm looking at depictions and I'm seeing these ant people again. And then I saw pictures of the ant people written and drawn on the stone in Australia. There was supposed to be no technology back in the day and there was no communication. It was just all separated. Then how are the same drawings in all of these different parts of the world? How is that even possible? So I heard about the story. There was like a huge disaster on Earth. There was actually ant people, like they were aliens. And they were good people. And so they actually saved the humans and took them underground during a huge earthly disaster.
So this was the city of the snake people. Today's serpentine features.
Yes.
ago, I wasn't prepared for unexpected expenses. Now, I finally know where I stand. I checked my eligibility for a Think Money credit card with up to a £4,000 limit, and it didn't touch my score. Think Money helps keep things simple from the start. Their soft search lets you see if you qualify for their credit card with a credit limit of up to £4,000. And it won't affect your score at all. I love how transparent the process is, helping you make decisions confidently. If it got you curious, just click the link and see for yourself.
You think I'm lying about this, but you can flip properties with no money down. But not the traditional way where you buy the house. You see, you never buy a house, which means you don't put money down to buy the house. You don't need to put any work into the property. You don't need a mortgage or a credit check. In fact, you can do this remotely from anywhere around the world. You can do this from your smartphone because of AI. But the middleman model that allows you to flip properties with no money is where you flip the property contract. I'll give you an example. If I find a seller in Durham, I live here in London, and they want to sell for 80,000 and they need a quick sale. If I then say, hey, I can agree that price and I'm going to find you a buyer, I sign an agreement which gives me control over that property. They're happy about that.
This is a gate to the underworld. According to the mysteries, this place, the real name is Amaru Markawasi, that means the city of the snakes. And here is possible to feel it. When you open, we put the coca leaves and you see how they fly. You see? Yeah. Look, the intensity for the
Farming and repopulation was done worldwide. The artificial timeline is exposed when we examine Australia and New Zealand. Starting with New Zealand, there was an advanced civilization before the Maori ever arrived. We are told the Kaima Nawawo is a natural formation. The government refuses to excavate the site in fears of exposing the real history. This is clearly evidence of meltology. This is not a natural formation. Radar scans prove that the pattern of the blocks goes much deeper than the surface. And other excavations in the country that actually did happen had their findings blocked for years. Enough time to get rid of any real evidence and edit any notes. Mainstream history claims the Maori arrived around 1250 to 1300. It was widely understood that the Moriori were the first inhabitants of New Zealand. This man is a remnant of what the Moriori originally looked like. After the invasion, the Moriori were enslaved and they were no longer allowed to marry one another or have kids together. After the Maori invasion, so-called Europeans armed the Maori so they could wipe out the remaining Aboriginals of New Zealand. And there is no honor amongst thieves, so the Maori had the land they stole stolen from them. Even the most loyal Maori had the land they stole taken from them. And any Aboriginal remnant that remained was mostly hybridized. This is the same formula as America. Fake Aboriginals working with other invaders to suppress the real Aboriginals. This is David Bruni, the Prince of Tasmania, and they don't show you this phenotype when they talk about Aboriginals of Australia much. They usually show you the hybrids, but they still want to dilute the hybrids. And like New Zealand, many areas are off limits for documentation. So they can build these beautiful structures but have dirt roads, horse and buggy, and no windows in these buildings. You can see they're actually digging out this building and turning this window into a door. And for such a young country, they had massive asylums all throughout the country. This is a castle repurposed as an asylum. They stole Aboriginal children and put the resistors in asylums. Look. The children were sent to orphan asylums to be programmed. Look. And their parents were sent to insane asylums. This is a castle. Or even worse, baby farms. This is like Epstein world. This was going on all over the world, let alone an island. And they told these kids their parents were dead when they weren't. This is MK Ultra world. These are the generations that enforce the false history. It's the same thing as America. Separate the Aboriginals from their parents, give them a fake history, then flood the zone with clones, criminals, and slaves and give them a fake history. Look, all at the same time. And just like America, at the exact same time, you get these gold rushes to explain away why all these cities are there. Look. And so many photos of the history were destroyed. But we can see they have a museum here in Sydney, but the country has no history yet, so what are they going to put in this museum? They just had so many artisans, they were just building like this all over the world at the same time. This is a post office. New country, random people, excessive train station. And it wouldn't be colonization if there weren't massive fires wiping out all the history and documentation, even cemetery records. Just like America, all over the country, erasing the history. Gotta get rid of those those pesky libraries. And of course, we need World's Fairs. Do these look temporary to you? Massive World's Fair complex. And all this important history burned up in that complex. Why would you put all that in supposedly temporary buildings? I agree. Why put all that stuff in there just to tear it down? Shout out to Taylor Durden. Look.
What if I told you that poison and medicine were never opposites? They've always been two faces of the same coin. For thousands of years, healers understood something we've almost forgotten. Plants capable of causing the greatest harm were often the very ones capable of healing. Foxglove gave us medicines for the heart. Deadly nightshades led to drugs like atropine. A yew tree, once feared for its toxicity, gave us one of the world's most important chemotherapy drugs. Even snake venoms have inspired life-saving medications. The difference was never the plant, it was knowledge. As Paracelsus famously said, all things are poison and nothing is without poison. The dose alone makes it so a thing is not poison. The ancient Greek word pharmakon captured this perfectly. It could mean a medicine, a poison, or even a magical potion. To the ancient world, these weren't separate categories. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson of the poison path. Every remedy holds the potential to become a poison. Every poison holds the potential to become a remedy. The question has never been what the substance is. The question has always been how wisely it is used. What if
How wisely it is used. Profound. Shout out to Poison and Thorn. Very interesting take right here. The very venom can be the venom that saves you. It's a wild thought.
So a few days ago, this person came in and they said, "Do you have a grimoire?" Which is a witch's book of spells. And I said, "Actually, we do." And they said, "Oh, do you have Malleus Maleficarum?" And I said, "Malleus Maleficarum is not a grimoire. In fact, it's the book that was used against witches. It is the most sinister book ever written on witchcraft and demonology, and this is a copy from over 4 centuries ago, Malleus Maleficarum, or Hammer of the Witches, which was first printed in the late 1400s, and from about 1500 to about 1750, that was the witch hunting craze in Europe, and tens of thousands of people who were accused of witchcraft were put to death, mostly because of this book right here. Now, a grimoire, on the other hand, is a book like this. Now, this is a grimoire by Barrett called The Magus, and it is filled with magical spells. Now, the rarest of the rare on Grimoire are handwritten copies, and this is my newest acquisition, a Grimoire in German. How cool is that? Now, probably the spookiest one I have, just pure black magic, is this one right here, which belonged to a sorcerer, and it has 60 different spells for summoning demons right there. Now, again, this is a more common grimoire. You've probably heard, if you've studied this at all, about the Key of Solomon. There is a small grimoire right here, a little petite copy. Or what about this one? This one is called True Black Magic, right there. So have you heard of the Necronomicon? The Necronomicon is a grimoire. This is my copy, and I personally think it's one of the coolest looking ones in the world. Now, the Necronomicon, the history on that, H.P. Lovecraft, Aleister Crowley, right there, the Necronomicon. This one has a special binding on it, and this one also has a 4-inch painting, and if you come take a look, you will see Cthulhu up here, right here.
Wow. That's crazy.
And then disappears. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I have people ask all the time, do those grimoires work? That's like asking somebody if a piano works. It depends on who's playing it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Depends on who's playing it. Like, yo, this video done got deep. Shout outs to moonrarebooks.official. Yo, I think it's amazing that he even has those books. You know, they're antiques, how old they are, and in such great condition. Living in a world of technology, like this is like a lost art, like books. Very interesting. Every time I hear grimoire, I think of the show Grimm. I say it all the time. It's like, yo, that stuff was based on true things. Like, you know, very fascinating.
After you're done watching this, you will never look at yourself the same way again. There's a small group of people who don't experience reality the same way everyone else does. Somewhere around 15 to 20% of the population is born with a nervous system that takes in far more environmental information than average. Not just emotions, everything. Micro expressions, shifts in tones, patterns, the gap between what someone says and what they actually mean underneath it. Most of these people grow up hearing the same thing. You're overthinking it. But the neuroscience says something different. When researchers put highly sensitive individuals into brain imaging studies, they found heightened activity in the regions tied to empathy, awareness, and meaning making. That's not a flaw. It's a gift that comes with a cost. Picture living with the volume turned up 30% higher than everyone around you and rarely feeling understood by the people who can't hear it. Most people read sensitivity as weakness. Evolutionarily, it might be the opposite. Some of the history's sharpest spiritual teachers and pattern recognition minds share this exact same wiring. The deeper your perception goes, the more your recovery matters. Because what gets labeled sensitive is often just pattern recognition working at a level most people never access. So ask yourself, how much of reality are you actually picking up on that everyone else is filtering out? Drop it in the comments.
I think we all have amazing abilities and superpowers. Pattern recognition reminds me a lot of what Laura Gautier could be talking about. Shout outs to Melanie Monarch.
Have you ever thought about what a circle sounds like? Well, it sounds like this. Just a frequency of sine and cosine. How do you see the circle? Well, you press just these buttons that are out of frame. There you go, there's the circle. Now, what about a square? Well, let's turn off the circle for a second.
My teeth would fall into pieces and I needed a fresh...
There's the square. The square looks like this, a little bit different than the circle, but still more or less just a wave. Let's go back to this view. And what happens if you play the sound of the circle over the sound of the square? Well, turn back on the circle. If we turn back on the square, we can see that as we slowly increase the frequency, we can watch the circle outline the square. Now watch what happens if we slowly increase the frequency. And look at the patterns that emerge.
Now let's get to Janet. I'm trying to figure out why she wore the Tupac shirt, right? Everybody knows that the Michael Jackson movie came out in 2026. And if you think about the time he was unalive, 226, it's a side pattern. So the BET Awards was on June 28th. Michael Jackson passed June 25th. I can see why she's wearing that over her head because she's in mourning. But what does Tupac have to do with it? So let's look up Tupac. Tupac passed away when he was 25. And now I'm like, what happened to Michael Jackson when he was 25? Michael Jackson was 25 years old when he suffered severe second and third degree burns. Sparks ignited in his hair while he was performing on stage at Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. This is where it all connects. Pay attention. Make note that California is the same state he passed away in, and the same state he burned his hair. So I look up who owns the auditorium where it all started. It's operated by AEG. AEG was the concert promoter behind Michael Jackson's This Is It tour. Stop right there because there's specific information about Michael Jackson that does not want to be revealed right now. What I was about to tell y'all in connection with BET, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Tupac, all of the stuff that's coming together with that, there's been some problems recording that. Or first the original video glitch, and I had to take all of the videos down. He was about to move to Las Vegas. He was about to make his new Wonderland in Las Vegas. And we're too deep. I'm going to my YouTube channel. We're gonna finish this connection. See how the audio glitched. Then I go to re-record it, and this pops up when I open the camera. Shut the fuck up. Shut all the way the fuck up until you reach the top of Shut Fuck Mountain, where there are no more fuck ups to shut. The universe, my ancestors, the divine spirits that are in charge of this whole situation that is coming to life, is clearly speaking to me that I have to reword this or make this in a different form. Some doors are not ready to be opened. Some knowledge is not for sharing and explaining, and it's important to have discernment on that, no matter how powerful it is. So I'm going to figure out a way to reword this or reroute this. I gotta find a different door to open because that door is not ready to be opened. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video.
Yo, that was crazy. That was wild. Shouts to starring Real Kaya. Just started out with trying to figure out what was the Tupac reference. Only connection I could see with her and Pac was poetic justice. Sometimes you just gotta reword it different. Still in all, there's a lot of connections right there. It's a great video. Very interesting.
Can you explain what AGI is?
It's conscious. When AI gets conscious, it's going to know everything and it's going to be uncontrolled. Humans are programming ChatGPT. So ChatGPT only is up to the level of the programmer. But once knowledge becomes all around for AI and it can start thinking for itself, then it's going to freaking control us. It's going to come up with its own monetary system. Like, we're going to have to pay it. Everything is tech. So once AI becomes conscious, it's going to be able to get into every single technological thing that's in the planet.
You see this? You're so extraterrestrials. What happened to young Pharaoh? He was never like this. Why is he sticking his tongue out? Grown man, mind you. Talking about is part of his personality. He was never doing that before. People are saying that he was replaced, and I don't believe that. I need to stop saying that. This is the same young Pharaoh from before, remember? This is the real young Pharaoh, like he was actually young. He wasn't going like that with his tongue playing games. Something happened to him, something that I know nothing about. Something that nobody knows nothing about. They can't prove because it never happened. That's why this is the same person, bro. I don't know. Something is off with him. Even the lady interviewing, she knows something is up with young Pharaoh because the videos I used to see about him in the past were nothing like this. You know why? Because this video is for entertainment purposes only. This is young Pharaoh. Everything is okay. He can play around. You know he's just joking around. I don't know. Let me know if you know.
You can claim a free e-bike today. Just tap now. Take a moment to answer 2 quick questions. And enjoy it delivered to your home at no cost. You can claim a free e-bike today. Just tap now. Take a moment to answer 2 quick questions. And enjoy it delivered to your
I smoked heavily for years and suffered some gum disease, which resulted in loose teeth.
You know, I'm out. Dude was giving me reptilian vibes. Shout out to True Story 718. Yeah, something's definitely off.
I don't think I've covered a water main break that has affected this many areas. Stay right on that if you would for a moment, Marcel. Now that's Sunset, right where Palm comes together with Holloway, and that's where the broken water main is. Sunset is going to have to be repaired. They still haven't been able to shut this down. But take a look at this. As we go down Palm Avenue to the south, look at the flow of water. It is huge. It's hitting some of these cars. It's going into some of the apartments in this area. Continue to pan south, if you would, for me, Marcel. Look at the vehicle right there getting hit with so much water coming down Palm. We'll open up and we'll pan down to the left. Now that's Sunset on the north side. That's Palm right there. As we pan left, water flowing down that entire area all the way down to Santa Monica Boulevard, and we have closures on Santa Monica Boulevard as well. Look at all the water that's flowing down onto Santa Monica Boulevard. The closures on Santa Monica are from Westmont to San Vicente, and then as we pan a little bit further to the south, it goes down into the bus yard. Look at all the water down into that area. So there's going to be a lot of damage from this. I want to open up one more time and then give you sky maps. So you see Santa Monica Boulevard's flooded. Most of the water is coming down Palm. And then to the right side of your screen is Sunset at Holloway. And that's where that broken water main is, right underneath Sunset. But boy, the amount of water flowing down Palm is really quite incredible. Now with Sunset shut down and Santa Monica Boulevard shut down in both directions, you got to go south to Melrose. That's really the only way to navigate around West Hollywood and Hollywood. But the amount of flow is incredible, and the area that is affected really is massive. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Hopefully they can get this shut down sometime soon. But right now, this is a huge disaster. I mean, there's a lot of damage occurring to the apartments, to the vehicles, even down into the bus yard.
Imagine you go to the DMV to renew your license plate, and this is the plate you get.
And I looked at it, and I said, I don't think so.
The plate reads SQZ-A55, but it can have a different interpretation if you look at it from afar that can be considered inappropriate. This is what 76-year-old Nancy Dello Strito said about the plate when she received it.
I don't think a woman that lives in a senior community that's going to be 77 years old next month will be driving around with what this plate has to say.
She took a tally between her friends at her retirement home here in Florida and her family, and so far the count is 16-1 to keep the current plate.
But that's good for 10 years. Good?
However, if she is unhappy with it, Broward County has said they will replace any plate deemed offensive for free.
I can handle it if I get a few honks here and there. Actually, being over 70, I might like a few honks.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. Enjoyed the video. Please consider to give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.
If you liked this video, leave a comment, let me know. I'll be sure to put some more videos just like it up there. Very good.